Welcome. This seminar is going to be about transfer pricing and amount B. And Pinar and Maria, most welcome. You're going to guide us here regarding this topic. Amount B seems complicated, but first of all, give us a short and very brief description regarding what is transfer pricing about.
Of course. Well, in short and very basic, transfer pricing requires that all companies with intragroup cross-border transactions are compliant with the arm's length principle. And this means that all companies needs to undertake or perform their transaction based on fair market conditions.
Yeah, paying the right price in order to pay right taxes at the right place.
Exactly.
That's so. Okay.
Yeah.
What about amount B?
That's a relevant question, Håkan. It's quite of a mysterious concept, isn't it? But no worries, we will try to sort it out today. Amount B is really a concept released by OECD last summer under Pillar I. And the main purpose of amount B is to simplify administration and increase comparability on the application of the arm's length principle on marketing and distributing activities. And just to put that into its right context, as of today, all companies with intercompany cross-border transactions, they need to be able to provide some kind of support that they are actually pricing these activities on an arm's length basis. And in order to do so, they undertake so-called benchmarking studies. That's the concept of today. And for larger multinational groups with a lot of entities worldwide, that implies an enormous amount of benchmarking studies to be undertaken every year and to be updated, which creates, of course, a large administrative burden for those companies. And amount B is intended to replace benchmarking studies and provide a standardized pricing matrix instead to be used to support the arm's lengthiness of the remuneration for those activities.
So it makes it easier.
Yeah, it's supposed or intended to be beneficial for the taxpayers and decrease the administrative burden for the taxpayers, but also for tax administrations, because it will be easier for them to control that a certain transaction is priced based on fair market conditions. And just also to mention something about the current status of amount B. It's still a proposal. Some issues are still under negotiations, but the OECD intends to release a new version of the OECD guidelines for transfer pricing, including amount B, in January 2024. So it's coming really soon.
So your best guess that this will be at force next year?
Yeah, that's a fair guess, I would say.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which type of activities are considered under these new rules then?
Buy-sell marketing and distribution transactions, where the distributor purchases goods from associated enterprises for wholesale distribution to unrelated parties, are within the scope of amount B. Also, sales agency and commissionaire transactions are within the scope. There is no threshold specified for amount B. This is really important because it means that amount B would apply any intercompany distribution activities in scope.
So no threshold, it's for everyone?
Yes.
Okay. And how does amount B work, and how is the remuneration model of amount B?
In order to determine whether amount B is applicable to wholesale distribution activities, an initial analysis needs to be performed based on the qualitative and quantitative criteria of amount B. At first, the transactions in scope will be determined. Second, the specific ratios of operating assets to sales, operating expenses to sales will be calculated in the analysis. And then the categorization of industry group of the company will be selected. OECD divides the industries into 3 groups based on the level of returns. They can be grouped as higher level of returns, lower level of returns, and no relation to the returns.
But 1, 2, 3.
Yes. When it comes to the remuneration model of amount B, it will be based on transactional net margin method, TNMM, and the profit level indicator will be return on sales. OECD describes the pricing matrix. It's a statistical analysis to determine the arm's length profit margin to be obtained by the distributors in scope. The pricing matrix includes 3 different industry categories, which I just mentioned, and 5 different levels based on the size of operating assets and operating expenses in relation to sales. Accordingly, there are 15 different outcomes described as an arm's length profit margin in the pricing matrix.
And you said that this is going to be something that makes it more simple and easy to work with, although 15 different outcomes. Wow. Which type of analysis need to be done for amount B?
Yeah, well, there are some different analyses that it needs to be undertaken, but the first step is to do an initial analysis of the activities to understand if amount B can be applied on these specific activities. So at first you need to look into the activities per se to understand if amount B is applicable.
Okay. And are we able to assist, and how do we do it?
Of course, I would say that we can assist our clients, and our assistance could basically be divided into 2 steps. At first, in step 1, we can assist with this initial analysis that I mentioned to look into the application or the possible application of amount B. And if the answer to that question is yes, you are allowed, you qualify for the application of amount B. Then we can move on to step 2, where we can do a second analysis to see if it's beneficial for this specific group to actually apply amount B. And we can also do a comparison to the outcome and the total tax cost of the group in the comparison between using amount B or stay with the ordinary benchmarking studies.
And I guess that we talk about clients with business abroad, business in Sweden, going abroad, and we are talking about something that is really for specialists, aren't we?
Yeah, absolutely. And I would say that amount B is more or less for larger groups with international activities and international presence, which are undertaking a large number of benchmarking studies. Because as you mentioned, Håkan, it is quite complex. The pricing matrix is complex, and also the analysis with respect to the applicability of amount B is also quite complex. So that has also been one of the major issues in the international debate regarding amount B. Is it really reducing the administration, or is it not?
Okay, I'm sure, anyhow.
Yeah.
Maria and Pinar, thank you very much for this very, very brief, but although very interesting description regarding transfer pricing and amount B.